Good morning, and welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. And we're so grateful for all of you here, especially for Amy Kauffman, who will be presenting this morning about hobbies. We're so excited. I'm not sure what she's going to be talking about, but looking forward to it. So, with that, Amy, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and then and why you decided to choose hobbies as your topic.
Sure. Well, I'm excited to be here. So thank you, Winnie, for this opportunity. And I love how this group has just exploded in growth, that we can all gather together on a regular basis and learn a little bit from each other about things that we're interested in, things that are special to us. I think it's just wonderful when women collaborate together. I'm just going to hit share my screen for a second. Okay. So I chose to talk about hobbies today because I think that there's a lot to us, right? We're not just, you know, people who go to work or people who stay home or people who have children, or there's a lot, we're multidimensional, and we're allowed to indulge in things that we like and get to know ourselves. So hobbies have grown and changed throughout the years. For me, they've become a very important part of my life. And I wanted to share that. I wanted to share that passion that I have for doing things outside of traditional like work, but that also define who we are from the inside. So I said that hobbies are a window to your soul because I think that they're a great way of reflecting who we are deeply within. Um, and I just want to hear about everybody else's hobbies. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, what I do, and how I got to this point. Okay. I love people. I love to talk to people. I love to be with people. I love to hear what makes other people happy. I like to hear what they enjoy doing and what causes them to connect to that innermost part of themselves, right? That inner knowing. And that's, like I said, why I believe hobbies are a window to the soul, because they show where you light up, where you come alive. Lots of people they work a job, they work 9 to 5, and it's just something they do to earn a paycheck. But it doesn't really reflect all about themselves. There's way more to them. And hobbies help you come alive. So here's me. I am a licensed social worker. I've been certified and licensed since 1990. And I've always loved helping people, right? Later on, maybe about 10 years ago, I started to expand my certification into life coaching and relationship coaching. I guess, like Mr. Rogers always said, that there are helpers, always look for the helpers. I have always been a helper. I've always been one of those people that like to link people to services or other people or things to help them solve whatever problem that they were having. So I've always considered myself a helper. It was just a natural place for me to go into social work. And as a social worker, I've had a million different jobs. I think at 16, my first job was as a home health aide. So I certified as a home health aide, taking care of people. Um, I've I've been a child abuse and neglect investigator, a child abuse and neglect caseworker. I've been a foster care and adoptive social worker. I've been an adoptive family home study. worker, and I was always looking for ways to connect people together, connect myself with other people, and learn about other people. And yet it still never felt like fully me. There was always like a little piece that was not satisfied, in the jobs. And so I came upon what I do now based on my own life falling apart, right? And then I got guided more directly to what I do now. So I've been a social worker for 120 years, and I've been taking care of lots of people. It's no surprise that I'm the oldest of three. I've been taking care of my brother and sister for for all their lives. And now what I do is I work with women to have great relationships. I help them transform their lives and elevate their own level of inner happiness through their relationships. And I got to this place because after 20 some odd years of marriage, and two kids and the dog and the house and all the traditional things that people thought made life perfect, my husband said that he didn't want to be married to me anymore. And I thought my life was going to implode, because that's not what I wanted. And I wanted to figure out a way to make us better, to fix it. And so I looked for ways that I could make our relationship better. He refused to participate in marriage counseling. And as a social worker, I was extremely insulted by that, but he refused. I dragged him 3 different times and he quit. So that didn't work. But I still felt inside this drive to save my marriage. And so I ended up finding coaching. And it aligned with my own values: positive, growth, introspection, and action oriented. And I really fell in love with my coaching experience, and it turned my life around, not just my relationship with my husband, which I saved and it's wonderful now, but my own personal life. It brought me a deeper connection to myself and an understanding of the things that I like, that make me happy as my own individual human being, not as a mom, not as a daughter, but really as Amy, the human being. And I thought that that was really important. And so I don't know how my slide went backwards, but so I started to focus and train on how I could help other women really connect deeper to themselves and improve their own relationships also. So that's what I do. Women come to me when they're wanting more in their lives. They're just sensing that there's more that they want. And I help them get clear on what that is and develop a vision for what that is. And we look at what hurdles are in the way. And I help them connect to that inner part of themselves and have the skills and the strategies so that they can bring their vision to life. I help women reignite, repair, heal, and bring more passion into their marriage so that they can feel heard and loved and valued. Even after betrayal, even after infidelity, no matter what it is, there's more hope and more possible than they tend to realize if they're only looking at their circumstances. And I love, love, love what I do. Because I'm a social worker also, in addition to a coach, I'm able to merge all of those trainings together and really create my own hybrid formula for how I work with people. So I work with primarily with women, but I also work with some individual men and some couples too. Okay, but when I'm not working, there's a lot more to Amy. And like the rest of us, I think there's a lot more to us. And we often just sort of shrink that part. I'm not sure why, but I think we do. So, hobbies. What is a hobby? Well, here's a little history on this. In the 16th century, the term hobby meant a small horse, a hobby horse, and that was in England. And it was originally a wooden frame for a child to mimic horseback riding, the hobby horse. It was like a toy that they played. And so as time went on, the idea of hobby was like an insult because it was childlike. So if you had a hobby horse, you were childlike. And in the 18th century, hobbies started to become associated with more leisure activity and recreation. So there was like a shift in how it was regarded. And over time, hobby became considered to be more of a pastime, how we pass the time. And I think that's kind of cool how things emerge and grow and shift and change. I just love that. So now hobbies are primarily practiced for interest and enjoyment. People do them regularly. And sometimes people do get financial rewards for hobbies that they engage in. Here's like two pictures of typical hobbies, you know, arts, painting, and planting. Here's some other pictures of hobbies, jewelry making, puzzle making, photography. But as hobbies developed and people started to take pride in the activities that they were engaging in, that's where the cultural shift started happening. And it went from child's play to more about being personally satisfied. And it was also a means of keeping people involved in good, healthy habits versus bad habits. Remember, there were times where work was not consistent and then became an age of more consistent work. But when people weren't working, what were they doing? How were they spending the time? And this is where shifts started happening. When you think of hobbies, what do you think of? What comes to your mind when you think about what a hobby is? Anyone want to answer?
I think it's doing things that you really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Creative, fun.
Something you're passionate about that you enjoy doing it, like what Tamara is saying.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I don't do any much anymore, but then I'm turning around and saying, yes, well, I love gardening and I love cooking. But they've almost become sort of really regular things. And, I had a hobby once that turned into a huge career. I was a potter. But I actually lack doing some hobbies now, and I need some more because they do bring pleasure. And they give you a break, too. They give you a break from thinking and, your normal, fight for survival.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Like everybody's right. That it's exactly what they do. Sometimes a hobby is just something that we're interested in, and it can be something that takes up more and more of our time as we realize, right? We tune into ourselves and we recognize what it's saying to us, that we like it. We want to spend more time doing it. then it becomes more of, like Julie said, a regular routine, or it could even become your full-time job.
Well, that's what happened to me, and it was huge. You know, it was a career for years, 20 years.
So what was your hobby, Julie, that became that?
I was a pottery. Yes, I went to night school and learnt to pot, and then I became a professional potter and a trainer and a business owner and a gallery keeper and a workshop runner.
That's just so awesome.
Yeah. And I miss it, actually. I do. I miss it because it was very creative, and you know, it was a lot of exploration in it. So yeah, it's a good thing to pay attention to this today. Actually, good.
Julie,
I'm so glad that you shared
show
that.
them your beautiful piece on the window, please.
Oh, you mean
Julie has
Fatima?
created some incredible things, really. Absolutely. Oh, this is my. Can you see a little bit closer?
What is it?
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God.
Well,
Wow.
This is Fatima. Fatima is a camel, and she looks
Fatima
after me.
is my favorite piece of pottery, but that
wow.
Julie has made. But she has made so many beautiful things.
They were in some of the last things I did. But you know, I was a production potter, really huge amount of domestic wear, and I also went off and did a lot of sculptural stuff, fountains and waterfalls, and yeah, it was a big. I was making $1,000 worth of pots in the 80s a week.
Wow.
So you know, yeah, that was a lot of money, and then it actually did become a money making, you know, and it changed it a little, but I still enjoyed it.
That's what I
That's
love
awesome.
about it. And we'll talk more about that because, you know, that's what it is, right? We're, as people, we have this natural sort of desire to figure out the meaning of our lives, right? We're looking for meaning in our life, trying to understand like what our purpose is, what we're meant to do, how we're meant to serve. And that's what I'm talking about, like connecting with people. How do we connect to where we are and what we do? And hobbies give purpose to the time that we have on our hands. It gives us filler in time, or like with Julie, you know, opportunities for livelihood. And a lot of people wonder what their purpose is. And hobbies help us tune in to that inner voice. When we tune in, we can start to notice what makes us come alive, what feels good. And we can discover ourselves simply through this experience of doing things, experimenting with things, experiencing things, and noticing the attitude that we have while we're doing it, and then after we've done it. When we tune in, we can really learn a lot. Let me go to the next slide. So I have, oops, sorry. Left hand's clicking a little too fast here. Okay, so I wrote down a whole pile of examples of some hobbies that are really more popular, and see if any of these resonate with you. Walking, cycling, running, hiking, skiing, tennis, pickleball, photography, reading, cooking, baking, painting, drawing, cars, musical instruments, winemaking, knitting, crocheting, needle pointing, sewing, chess, gardening, dancing. Anybody resonate with any of those?
Well, I think that.
Absolutely.
Sorry. I think I have done in my life about half of what is on this list. But I have to say that maybe there's something not quite right with me, but it is my learning and sharing what I learn and seeing that it's making a difference for people. That is what makes me come really alive. None of these things have made me as alive as this. But I feel it maybe I have to broaden my mind, because maybe this is too narrow now. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Right there, there's 24 hours in a day, right, Eva? There's 24 hours in a day. I love what I do, like you. I love it. When I get to wake up in the morning and do my coaching calls and interact with my clients and stuff, I love it. Really, it thrills me like no end. But there are times throughout the day that I need to replenish my spirit so that I can have that energy for them. And, you know, it's not just like my 3 meals a day. It's not my snack times. It's not my sleep in the night. There are other things that I need to do that help me tune in more for how I want to show up as my coaching self and be a better service to other people. And it's through these other things that I enjoy, even though they're not maybe the things that give me as much joy as my coaching, but these are things that help me, one, relax, two, replenish that energetic spirit, because, you know, when you're helping other people to be their best, it takes an energy from you, and you want to show up with, like, you know, the best that you can offer people. And so sometimes you need a little bit of replenishment. And I used to be really hard on myself. And I found that when I engage in some of these other things for little tidbits of time, it nourishes my spirit in such a way that I am better able to do my coaching. Or if I'm focusing on serving dinner, I'm better able to cook a meal. So it used to be that when I would cook, because I really don't like cooking, I really don't like cooking, and I would cook with disdain, and you could taste that. you can taste that, okay? And now that I replenish myself a little better, I show up for this cooking task with a little bit more love and desire for it to be good. And they can taste the love. Like my family can same recipe, but they can taste the difference. So I look at the hobbies and the things that I do as this replenishment for my spirit, so that I can show up in the things that I really, really, really want to do well, with like the best of me. So with all of those things that you used to do, what did you like doing, Eva? I can't hear you, you're muted.
Probably going to be boring, but reading, which I do anyway, and photography. But, you know, there is another thing that I love doing, and another thing that makes me come to life. It's interacting with my great-grandchildren, observing the next generation, you know, the children of my grandchildren. This is incredible experience every time, you know, I talk with them, every time they come and tell me something, you know. I hardly ever stop myself from, well, introducing them to something that I consider fun, but luckily in a way which I think make them feel happy too. And that is also very much something that brings life to life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that is so special. Not everybody gets to have great grandchildren. That is just amazing.
I have 7.
Wow. Wow.
Yes,
that's awesome.
This is my claim to fame. But it is for me, it's learning as well, incredible learning, and watching a very different generation of incredible little people, coming to this world. So that is wonderful.
Yes, and tuning into each of them. So for anybody who for anybody that has a hobby, I would love to hear how you got started in this activity. How has it changed maybe over the years? What you might like to do that you aren't doing now, or what you would like to spend more time doing.
Amy, I wonder at this time, since this is a discussion portion of your presentation, if you want to stop the share so that we could just go around to each person and ask what their hobby and how they get started and how that changed
Sure.
their lives over the years. Do you have other presentation after this, or this is your discussion? And then we can go back, because I think it's easier when we can see the faces.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know we can't see all the faces. Okay, yes, absolutely. So I'll hit stop share.
And then you can share again later when we're done with this particular discussion. So let's start with Tamara. Go ahead, Tamara.
Thank you, Renee.
Woohoo, I got the mute off quicker this time. Getting better. So I love this because my husband has all these great creative talents, and his family has a lot of, they're so talented. They do stained glass, painting, sculpting, all kinds of stuff. And I always felt like I never had any of those talents. But then I saw that you put walking on there. Like, okay, I have that one. Except for the other day I did fall, but anyway. That made me kind of like, oh, because I really do enjoy walking. But my hobby was actually started with coaching. When I started coaching or learning about coaching, it just brought my heart to life. It just lightened my entire world. And like you, I saved my relationship through coaching. And so it's so, I just really like this because it's like, oh, I like walking. I like hiking. I always felt like I was this wrecking ball. So I'm really enjoying this.
I love that. I relate so much to that. Thank you. Keep going. You can tell me more.
Thank you, Tamara. Yeah, is it basically what you're passionate about? Because
coaching?
It's like it gets intertwined between hobby, something that you started doing when you're young, or something that you develop at a later years. So they kind of intertwine between hobbies and your passion.
Well, yeah,
thank you.
That's a good point. The passion part, like coaching is my passion now. Like I never knew the feeling of passion as much as I did when I got into coaching and started helping other people. And so this is good point. I missed a little bit of it at the beginning, but it sure brightened my day. So I'm glad I got back on.
Yeah, thank you, Tamara. And Suzanne, you're next. You need to unmute, Suzanne.
Yeah, no, I'm on my iPhone. It's not always as easy. So, Amy, oh my gosh, what a great topic. I love it. I am an enrichment coach for my Aspie women. My business is called Enriching Lifestyle. I'm going to have to go in. I was hoping to sit outside, but they're going to start the work outside. But what I do, because so many women are Aspies and they have trouble getting into jobs, I help them find the gift in their heart so that they can take their hobby and turn it into some kind of a lucrative business, so they can get some money that makes them feel good. And I take them, like yesterday I had a conversation with one potential client, and she's like, I don't really do hobbies, but I do like paint by numbers. I said, well, maybe you might like to do some stenciling, and stenciling can grow into making things for people. And then she's like, well, I can't really be a starving artist. I said, no, it's not about that. It's about having a smaller career, because we can't always work the 40, 60 hours. We just don't have the endurance at this point, and that's nothing bad. I'd rather see them doing some work than no work at all. But they need to have something that makes them feel good on top of their job. So as I said, I took this one girl who said, well, I do like paint by number. I said, you might enjoy stenciling, which is the same idea. So yeah, my business is enriching lifestyle, and I help women find their gifts so that they can earn money.
Yeah, I love that, because that's exactly what the hobbies are. And we tend to be so, the inner critic speaks so loudly that we judge, and we say it, like so many of us said it here today. I don't really have hobbies, but I like to. Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, right? And we don't necessarily think of the things that we like to do, even as walking, as a hobby. But why not? We can. We
Why
can
not?
give ourselves permission that it is good enough. It is good enough simply because we like it.
My hobby is scrapbooking, both traditional and digital.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Love
Thank you,
that.
Suzanne. Yeah, that's
Thanks.
awesome. Sometimes when what started as hobby turn into your career, it could be you end up selling it or whatever. Miriam, you're next. Thank you, Suzanne. You need your mute. Yeah.
That's what I had. I was looking for it. Thank you so much, Amy. This was awesome. And I really wanted to connect with you. My hobbies, I actually never had some kind of a hobby. But now that based on what you presented, my hobby was reading. My hobby was researching. My hobby was learning. That is what brought me where I am today. Learning, if I didn't have to do anything else, to me, hobby is like something that you don't have to do, but you love to do.
Yes.
If I don't have to do anything else, I just want to learn. I just want to pick up a book and read it and just get lost in it. That was my hobby.
I love it.
It's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like hobby and passion. It's just intertwined, you know?
Right.
Thank you. Sue,
Thank you.
you're next.
Oh gosh, do you have 5 hours? No, I have many hobbies. I won't even list them all. I am, and then I work a lot. I don't know. I kind of took my passion of design and turned it was a hobby that I turned into a career, a very lucrative one. I work, it's been really great. I'd say my most consistent two things beyond anything related to art and design or wine is cycling. I'm a big cyclist, and hiking. And so we've always lived, my husband and I both share those passions, and we've always lived in areas that are really conducive to outdoor activities. We've sought that out purposefully. We lived in the Smoky Mountains, and now we're on the West Coast in the Northwest. And we love being in lush green areas where we can be outside, and it just regenerates my soul every time I go for a bike ride or for a hike. So I'd say those are the two things that have been the most consistent over time, aside from art and design, anything related to that.
I love that. That there's something so natural in us that connects with nature, that when we go outside, there's that deep soul connection in nature that really does replenish us and nurture us. I love that.
Absolutely.
I love it. Thank you, Sue. When Amy first proposed that her topic is hobbies, and I thought, what is she going to be talking about? Hobbies. Who knew? This turned into a great subject. Tammy, you're next.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I've had some trouble with things getting settings and blowing up things real big. So sorry about that.
You're fine.
Good. I like many others have many hobbies, and the comment that hobbies is something that you do because you want to, not because you have to. I like that comment from Marianne, because I'll tell you, one of my hobbies is called warm glass or kiln glass. So I have 3 kilns in my garage and all kinds of different types of glass, and I make everything from little things in the windows to large bowls or just an artistic piece. And so it's something, it brings in learning, because I love going to the classes and seeing the other students and the instructors and working with them. And when I was laid off a year and a half ago now, my husband asked me to consider, opening a shop and doing some classes and making that my career. And the one reason I said no thanks was I didn't want to have to do it. I just wanted to do it to create and feel good. And I didn't want the pressure of, I have to do this in order to support myself. So I differ a little bit with some of you that way, but there's certainly other hobbies that, such as reading, we've brought that up, that actually support my career. Learning and my career and reading is all a part of that. But we did recently, about 6 months ago, I had accumulated about 7 or 8 books that I couldn't find at the library. Look at the library first, but I had bought them, and I shared on my neighborhood group, hey, I've got these 7, 8 books. Anybody interested in reading them before I send them to the library? And I got more response than I expected, and a couple wanted the same book. So I became my own little library for a bit there. But out of that, we've created a community book club. And so we get together about once a month and just enjoy that. So it's not work, but it's become something more than I like reading. So I
That's
do
like
like
the
that it led
perfect
to that.
essence of the
Yeah.
hobby. That's like the
Yeah.
perfect. I love the natural growth of how it brought people together
Yes.
with a mutual interest and
Yeah.
a desire to grow and share and just connect with each other on the
Yeah.
reading. That is just awesome.
Yeah. So
That's really awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Joey, you're next.
Me?
Yes.
Hi. All right. So I used to love reading books, but because I became farsighted, it became a challenge to read the small prints of a book. So I read now the PDF version so I can zoom in. And since I'm homeschooling the kids, the books I usually read are mostly for self-development, like The Secret, any Joe Vitale books. But since it's more effective for kids when there are visuals, so I switched to finding movies that are LOA themed. LOA is love attraction, and that make them grow in wisdom. Movies that make us feel good.
Joey is
And you
in the
Not
Philippines.
easy, no.
that have lessons
Yeah,
that
the
we
connect
were
probably is the
after. So now it
internet
has become a
connection.
family. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was your internet connection, so you were your voice was
Elongated.
it's okay. We got the message that you with your kids, you were talking about your kids.
The reading and the law of attraction materials that help them grow in that way, aligned with the law of attraction.
I think Joey is frozen right now, so
Think so.
I think we're just gonna move on to the next. How about you, Omeka? Omeka, she loves gardening. I know that.
I do
And
love
drumming.
gardening. I had a
And
garden
drumming.
growing up one time in Chibi. And
Mm.
yeah,
So,
it's
excuse me.
turning.
Sorry, Joey, you were frozen, so we just passed you over, but thank you for that. Go ahead,
Oh
Omeka.
God, I got the washing machine. Geez, lots of noises. Okay. Anyway, um, yeah. So yeah, I had a garden growing up, and it's turned it from I need to grow food to eat, which I'm not there. Only got a few things. Into just the love of seeing something grow from a seed to a something edible and something beautiful. And I'm looking forward to doing that more. At 16, I started making jewelry because my mother was going back and forth to Africa and she would bring back beads. So that turned from a hobby into I had a bead store for about, I don't know, 10, 15 years, different ones. And so that became a way to generate money. But yeah, I went to Indonesia years ago and I walked into this bead shop. They had beads from the floor to the ceiling and I just hugged the beads. So that is truly a passion. I mean, there was just so many. I was like, there were rats rolling around. I was like, I didn't care. I kicked the rat and kept hugging the beads. And drumming and music. I played the clarinet, saxophone, and drum, and I turned the drum into while I was especially playing with a group into a way to generate income and do something I really love to do. And yeah, those are two. I've always loved photography as well. I took a course in high school, and I still love taking pictures. I mean, I have thousands of pictures now that they have screenshot. I'm like, okay, we need to get rid of some of these pictures. But anyway, yeah, yeah. So
You
yeah,
know what I love
love
about
the
what you
hobby.
said,
Uh-huh.
Omeka? I love the diversity of your interests. And that's exactly what hobbies are about, right? That there's more to you than just one-dimensional, thing that you could like gardening and you can like drumming and you can like jewelry all at the same time and you can pursue all of those things all like within one day.
Oh yeah, and I
And
love cooking too. And I used to have a
oh,
vegan
and cooking.
restaurant, so
Micah,
always
you're
loved
the
cooking,
person.
even when I was eating the regular standard American diet growing up. Me and my brother used to cook because my mother wasn't there. So if you want to eat, you better cook. So you know. But anyway,
You're
I
a
turned that.
person with multiple
Yeah.
talents,
Yeah, I
Omeka.
love that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was awesome presentation.
Thank you, Omeka. That was awesome. Sandra, you're next. Sandra, are you there?
I am. I just didn't expect to get called on because I was sitting here waiting for my fridge, which still hasn't come. So that's been the nice part of getting into the whole session. Amy, that was a lovely presentation. I wasn't sure where it was going to go either. And if I look at what my hobbies have been, talking is one of them, I guess. And that stayed with me, singing. And even though I never got to be professional, I got to be very good amateur. And music carries you through the whole of your life. I can be humming and singing and crying all at the same time. I'm humming and singing no matter where I am. But strangely enough, I never turn music on here at home, even though it's a very important part of my life. So I like the quiet as well. But even while I've got the quiet, the tunes are going through my head. So I would say music is my big life sustaining forever thing that I had. Other than that, I mean, I'm moving into my coaching career, and again, like the others, I just love working with people and helping people. So it's a natural growth. And when we look at when we're the happiest, that's what we need to
Yes.
be doing.
I like the way, Sandra, I like the way you connected that. First of all, I relate a lot to you about loving to talk. I've always liked to talk. In my report cards in elementary school, it was like, Amy likes to talk. You know, whatever, nothing's changed there. And I love that you use the singing and music, but you notice that you don't even necessarily turn music on in the house, but yet singing is so much a part of who you are inside, right? It's inside. You always have the music on inside.
That's
So
right.
regardless of what's on the outside. I think that's awesome. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
awesome, Sandra, the queen of straight talk. That's for sure. I love that. Faith, are you there? Faith? I don't know if Faith is there, but Faith, are you
I
there?
am. I am. I'm always the last one.
Hi, Faith.
I am here.
It's
I
okay,
like
Faith.
hobbies. Yeah. I don't want to be last all the time though, if I'm allowed to say it.
You won't be last, Faith, because I still have to go.
All right.
Go
Well,
ahead, Faith.
hobbies. I think that I think of hobbies a little bit different. I guess I think of hobbies as quilting club, garden club, um, crossword puzzles, things like that. Exercise, I think of as exercise, and I suppose exercise can be a hobby, but exercise is exercise. And the other things are the creative arts. I mean, there's a lot of us who are left side dominant that are creative, and the arts are what we either were born to do or would have liked to have done. I've always been creative my whole life. I love learning. I think creative people love learning. So I play piano, and I paint, and I write every day. I think of those things more as creative. I guess I love to cook and I love to garden, so I guess those would be my hobbies. But I love anything that's creating or making new, and it's very good for your spirit in your mind to do it. I've turned some of my hobbies, I guess you would say, into activities in a volunteer sort of way. So, like, say, for example, I have some elderly ladies in my neighborhood that are either shut in kind of alone or are starting to have dementia. So I'll take some plants over to their yard and get them to sit outside while I plant some plants for them, or get them to show me. I have one lady on my street, she's 90, and she's showing me how to make lumpia, and I'm behaving like I never learned it before because I never learned it from her. So I guess I'm saying I share my hobbies, which even make me feel emotionally and spiritually enriched. And I think having creative outlets is very important. And I thank you for this subject.
Yeah. The thing that you said, we often think about hobbies as something other than just being an expression of ourselves. And I'm not sure why we do that, but I sometimes think it's that inner critic voice of not good enough, that we don't allow it to be good enough. And I love that you do all of these creative things, all these little pieces. They're just expressions of you. And I love the way you're putting yourself out there and sharing all of this with other people, sharing yourself and furthering the joy that exists in the world through all these different ways: piano, writing, quilting, even doing crossword puzzles. And I love to do puzzles at home, and so I relate to that broad interest. And I'll tell you about mine too. But thank you for sharing that, and for sharing that, just the full richness of being willing to express yourself in all those different ways.
Yes. Thank you, Faith. And just know that you're never last. I was just going through the Zoom lineup here. So thank you. You're not last. Don't ever think that. But thank you for that. And I am last, or Amy's last. I was going to say that I've been reading this book by Simon Sinek, Find Your Why. And it's really interesting that finding your why, it's coming from your childhood, from your past, rather than the future. Because I thought about my why, people's why is really something they would like in the future, what their passion, what they would like to accomplish, like Miriam's dream of global, that would be like her why she wants to do this, whatever. But it's like in the future. But it turned out that it's from your past, from your childhood, and from some of the things that you like this conversation about hobbies and things that everybody mentioned, some of those kind of is embedded toward your why to determine your future, but it's from your past. So like your why is fully formed by the time you're a teenager or something like that. It was kind of surprised me that he's looking back instead of looking forward. But anyway, my hobby is taking pictures. If you haven't noticed yet, I post pictures on my Facebook page all the time because that's turning out to be my hobby. But yeah, so thank you. Suzanne, I see your hands up again.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say, I don't know who else was a Girl Scout, but I was very much, one of my ways of escaping my family was going into Girl Scouts. And once I saw the list of badge work, I love checking things off on the badge work. So that's where all my hobbies came from, was the fact that I was a Girl Scout and I love collecting all the different badges. And that was where I got my start, was say, oh, here's another badge I can work on. Here's another badge. And that's where all of my hobbies and my richness came from.
I love
Yes.
that. That's so great.
Yeah, I forgot about those badges for my kids. But Amy,
Yeah.
I'll turn it back to you.
All right, I'm going to share this screen again and go back to this. Okay, and go.
I just want to make sure that everyone has a turn. I think everyone did.
Everyone get a turn?
Yes.
So these are some of my hobbies. I love to play mahjong. I like to play games. And that turned into this side hustle. And I teach mahjong. So it's all by word of mouth. And I am always having people that I'm teaching, which is really kind of cool. But it started just because I like people, I like games, and I do have a knack for teaching. So it just all like combined together. I like to crochet and I like to knit. My grandma did both, and she passed on this love to me. I taught myself how to do both of them, but she was the inspiration behind it. And most of what I do is I make baby blankets and I donate them. I just like to, I don't have the tolerance and the patience to necessarily make a huge project, although I have many times, but I like to make baby blankets and I tend to donate them. I also teach knitting. That's also a newer part of how the hobby developed into something more. And this is actually a hat that one of the girls that I taught how to knit made for me. I'm an active volunteer. I like to, give my time to charity. And this is a women's organization that I belong to. That's my daughter and I. We did a walkathon. I like walking. I like hiking. I like being outdoors and exploring. This is one of the baby blankets that I gave to a baby not that long ago. So those are some of my favorite hobbies that just give me plenty of joy. And I'll tell you a little secret about knitting and crocheting. When I'm going to make these blankets, I almost don't even know what I'm going to make in advance. I just sort of get this urge to make something, and then the yarn calls to me. It speaks to me and it decides what it's going to become. And I swear that it has this voice that speaks to me and lets me know what to make. And that's cool. I think that's cool.
That's awesome. Amy, I see Marianne has her hands up.
Yeah.
Marianne, you wanna go ahead? You're muted. Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt, Amy, but if there is a time, just something that you said, I just wanted to make a comment on.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead, Amy.
Go ahead, Amy. We'll come back at the end.
Oh, okay. And that's really where I wanted to go with the hobbies, that the hobbies, we've spoken about this, that they take us out of our regular everyday 9 to 5 experience. They help us engage in things that we just love and enjoy, that it could be different than our 9 to 5. It doesn't always have to be different, but it could be. And there's lots of ways to just express yourself, as we've discovered that each one of us has like a slightly different list of things that we enjoy doing. And some of those things take us to being involved with other people. And some of those things are just individual, that are replenishing and nurturing to our inner spirit. Most often, no matter what it is that we're engaged in, we're learning something, we're growing. So hobbies really bring us into more of ourselves. They help us become more of ourselves, and they relieve stress. Hobbies feel good. And I call this self-care. Like, hobbies are really self-care because it replenishes and nurtures your inner spirit. So when you're thinking about, what you're doing and how much time you're giving to it, just take a look at how you spend your day. Look at all the hours of your day and take notice of where you're doing things simply for your own pleasure and enjoyment and relaxation. And then see where you might be able to add a little bit more. Not everybody thinks of themselves as having a hobby, so I wrote a list of questions you could ask yourself to help you explore maybe what you might want to do. So you can ask yourself, do you enjoy competition? Do you prefer to do things alone or with other people? Is there a particular skill that you want to develop? Do you want to revisit an activity that you once enjoyed? Do you want to be more physically active? Do you want to invest money in your new hobby? Do you want to interact with specific people or a specific type of person? And what would you like to gain by participating in a hobby? And finally, how would you like to grow? How would you like to grow or be challenged? So these are some things you can ask yourself when you're looking at what you might want to do. And thank you for sharing all about your hobbies, and anybody that had anything else they wanted to share, I would love to hear.
That's awesome, Amy. If you want to stop the share, we can go back to conversation. But that's such an amazing, this is, much broader than I thought initially when you proposed hobbies as your topic. This is such an awesome conversation. So with that, Marianne, go ahead. Where did Marianne go?
I know she said she had a meeting, a live meeting that she had to go to.
Okay, probably that's what's going on here. But thank you so much, Amy. Anybody else want to make a comment here before we close, because we are at 8 o'clock right now. So, 8 o'clock Pacific. Let me see. Is that from Marianne? The message? No, it was from Suzanne. Yeah, if anybody has last minute comment for all of us or for Amy, go ahead and say it, and then I'll turn it back to Amy to close this out. But for me personally, I really enjoyed this topic and this conversation because it's all related to our passion and our day-to-day things that we do on a daily basis. So thank you so much, Amy.
It's been, it was really enlightening. I want to say thank you because, sometimes we compare ourselves to others. And so I was comparing myself to my husband's family, who's so creative. And so you've really got my wheels turning. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Way more than what I was expecting.
Thank you, Amy. I love how much I learned about everybody today. I learned a lot. It was great to hear about everybody's hobbies and interests beyond their jobs.
Yeah, look at you, Sue, with interior design. Sue is the queen of interior design.
Yeah, I could use some help with that.
Yeah.
She's so talented. Yeah, it's how your hobby turned into your career. This is so awesome. Amy, any last minute thoughts or comment before we close?
For showing up today and being here and participating and making it really a full discussion about, I really love sharing and I love being here with you, and thank you for letting me talk about hobbies.
You did a great job, Amy. This is such a wonderful conversation and hope your shoulder gets well soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next week, Mary will be sharing about her vision of this global campus, education. So I hope all of you will come back again. Until then, have a great day and have a great week. See you next week. Bye, all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.